Well, good evening to everybody. My name is Vince Spaeth. I'm the president of the Elmhurst Park Board. I'd like to welcome you to our State of the Park District presentation this evening. Thank you again for all coming out and listening to what we have to say tonight. I'd like to start off and give you a little bit of a 30,000-foot view of the Board of Park Commissioners and what we do. We have a 7-member board that's elected by the community. They serve 6-year terms, and they stagger those every 2 years. So every 2 years there's an election for two members. All board members serve without compensation. We provide strategic long-term direction to the executive director and staff. We do not run the park district. We provide guidance and oversight. We are responsible for hiring the executive director, and he reports to the Park Board of Commissioners. We do approve tax levies and budgets and large expenditures. We do get involved on decisions to achieve community or personal benefits to residents, so we always do like to hear from you. And again, we appreciate you coming out and participating. Sometimes there's some atypical decisions that require more extensive board involvement, such as maybe stormwater, that we actually did get heavily involved to make sure that we understood the other entities in town's needs and the community needs, and again, to make the best team decision we can. So that's kind of an overview of what the Park Board of Commissioners do. What I'd like to do now is turn it over to our Executive Director, Mr. Jim Rogers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vince, and thank you all, as Vince said, for being here tonight. We really do appreciate it very much. We're looking at tonight as a terrific opportunity to give you an update on the state of the district, all that we have going on right now. It's an exciting time at the district, and we're looking forward to sharing that with you as we go through this. We'll have an opportunity for some questions towards the end, so please let me know if you have any at that point in time. So just kind of a general overview, the Park District provides large categories of services to the community. We provide open space, recreation, space to play. We're an employer in the district. A lot of folks don't realize we're one of the largest employers in the community, and certainly the largest employer of youth in the community. It's always fun to go out to public meetings, and a lot of times we'll ask folks, how many folks in the room had their first job at the Park District or worked as a lifeguard or a camp counselor, and there's usually a lot of hands that go up, so we enjoy that greatly. We provide fitness opportunities primarily through Courts Plus, our full-service fitness facility that's owned and operated by the district. And for those of you who may not be aware, Courts Plus is operated as an enterprise fund, and what that really means is that there is no direct tax support that goes towards Courts Plus whatsoever, both in terms of its operation, any capital improvements that are necessary, or any debt that it holds. And in fact, over the course of the last 20 years, Courts Plus has actually generated enough of a profit where it has contributed over $4 million back into the park system, thereby holding down the taxes that are levied to the community. And lastly, time for fun. As Vince mentioned, that's a big part of our mission statement, and we offer more than 10 free community events throughout the year for all ages, and I'll talk a little bit more about those as we continue this evening. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our 2016-17 accomplishments and highlights. If you had a chance to be with us last year, we talked about a few of these items as some of the plans that we had for the coming year, that being 2017. The first one is we were very excited and pleased to dedicate the playground for everyone at Butterfield Park. Really a tremendous community undertaking. This is the first fully universal playground in Elmhurst, which means that it serves individuals with disabilities and individuals who do not have disabilities equally. Every component in the playground and the entire site is accessible. So it was a terrific community effort for a lot of reasons. Primarily among them, we undertook with our foundation, the People for Elmhurst Parks, a rather extensive fundraising campaign. The Park District budgets every year to replace one playground, but in this case, a fully universal playground costs quite a bit more than what we budgeted in a given year. So we went to the community and looked to raise funds, and the community was extremely, extremely supportive. You'll notice here on the photograph that we have noted this was the ribbon cutting last November when we opened the playground, and you see those circles above the park board members' heads as they cut the ribbon. Those are some of our major donors to the project. Among those, some who are real biggies were the Kiwanis Club of Elmhurst and ECAF, the Elmhurst Children's Assistance Foundation. And Special Kids Day was also a huge proponent of the park and project as we worked through it. what we take the greatest pleasure from a project like this is not that we got it done or that we were able to raise the funds to do so, but really the response and reaction of the community, which has been extremely, extremely positive. We just continue to get just great feedback from folks using it, and so that's really what it's all about for the Park District. Another thing that we accomplished last year was we completed an indoor sports facility study. I mentioned this last year that it was something that we would be looking at this year. We did that in cooperation with the city of Elmhurst, where the city and the Park District jointly shared the funding for that project. And what we were doing is, with that study, was we were looking at the market and financial feasibility of an indoor sports facility that might include things like gymnasiums, synthetic turf, ice, and aquatics. And so the study was done and included feedback from hundreds of residents in Elmhurst. We worked with all of the stakeholder groups, folks who use athletic fields and gymnasiums in the community now, got a tremendous amount of feedback. And what came back basically was that there is a market for gymnasium space, turfs, and ice. There was not so much of a call, they thought, from a market perspective for swimming facilities. And one of the large reasons for that is because at the time, a year ago, there was the possibility of a major natatorium being developed, regional natatorium, I should say, being developed in Westmont. And since that point in time, that has come to fruition. So, and the other point, other part to that, I should say, is that in our work with stakeholder groups, we talked to the Elmhurst swim team, and they'd indicated while they would enjoy a new facility, their needs were being very well met at York High School, so didn't necessarily see the need for a new aquatic facility. So with those findings then, that there was a need, as I said, for gymnasium space, turf, and ice, the park board then looked to include looking at that type of a facility as part of our Vision 2020 comprehensive and strategic planning process, as well as our community survey that we did. And again, I'll talk about a little bit more about that as we go on, but we were pleased to complete that. Oh, I should mention also, I forgot to mention why the city was our partner in that. And the reason for that is because with a facility of this type, there is the possibility that it could be a regional facility and serve what's called non-local users. So local users are folks who live in Elmhurst, and then non-local would be folks, obviously, who don't live in Elmhurst. So it might be that we would host regional tournaments, even national tournaments, and that kind of thing. And so the city was looking at from the perspective of would that be an economic driver, an economic development tool for the city in terms of bringing in folks who would eat in restaurants, stay in hotels, and that kind of thing. And so we are continuing to work with the city as we evaluate the results and determine what the next steps for that might be. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Next, we were very pleased to celebrate the opening of, make sure my clicker works here, opening of our new indoor sports facility, already said that, opening of our new sled hill at Ben Allison Park. We've had a sled hill, what we call a mini sled hill at Ben Allison Park for a number of years, and it was actually sat on top of an old water reservoir. There was an old wives' tale out there, urban legend, that it was a bomb shelter. And if you want proof that it was a bomb shelter, you can go on YouTube and look up the video documentary that's been done about how it was a bomb shelter, but it wasn't actually a bomb shelter. It was a water reservoir. But the reservoir itself was starting to fail after many, many years. It hadn't been used in decades, and so we made the determination that we needed to go in and really clean up the site, redo the sled hill, make it accessible, and so we did that, and we were very pleased to open that this past winter. You'll recall how mild this last winter was, and yes, that is the park board there with sledding saucers and not a flake of snow on the ground. And this, we opened it in February, so we thought we'll pick right in the cold, dead heart of winter, have snow for sure, and you see, not a flake. But nonetheless, we look forward to the community enjoying that for years to come. Next, some things in some of our programs. Very excited that we held our first ever mother-son dance. We've done your traditional daddy-daughter dance for many years, but we did a mother-son dance this year. And for the first go-around, we had over 300 participants register for that, so we were very, very pleased by that turnout. In the center photo there, you notice our junior golf program at Sugar Creek Golf Course. It maxed out with 400 participants for the 9th consecutive year, showing that golf is not dead. It still has a future, particularly if you can get young ones at that age interested in the game. And then another program that we're very pleased about is we had over 1,200 athletes in our softball, soccer, and sand volleyball leagues participate this past summer, primarily out here in Barron's Park. And we were very pleased to host what we call League Appreciation Week to show our appreciation to those folks for participating. We were also very pleased to open up new garden plots at Marjorie Davis Park. That park is about 4 or 5 blocks away from here at Barron's Park. A number of years ago, the Park District had purchased, the board and district had made the decision to purchase a rather sizable piece of residential property that was immediately east of the park. And from the street there on Grantley, it looked like just a plain residential lot, but it was actually a large L-shaped lot and pretty good size. And we bought it basically to land bank it, meaning the district decided to buy it so that it wouldn't be developed right next to the park and could be useful in some future time. And that turned out to be a great place to relocate the district's garden plots. We had a need to relocate those garden plots after we deeded a portion of Golden Meadows Park over to the city to assist the city in their efforts to address stormwater management issues in the Pine and Avon neighborhoods. In addition, kind of keeping with that theme, the district over about the last year and a half has acquired 3 properties. Each of these properties are contiguous to, meaning they touch boundaries with and enhance existing parks. One is a parcel by Barron's Park, and on this map here, we're right up here at the top star there at Barron's Park, and actually in the lowest part of the star there, you see these little light green boxes. The one on the left actually indicates the piece of property that the board purchased. It's what's called an in-lot to the park, meaning it's a house that was still within what would look to be the boundaries of the park, had been there for many, many decades, and the opportunity came up as the owners of that were selling for the district to buy that. So the board was very pleased to do that. Then next, similar situation at East End Park. Hampshire Avenue winds around the back of East End Pool. And kind of dead ends back there, and there are a number of homes there along Hampshire. The last house at the end of that street, again, what looks like a standard residential lot, but was actually a much larger piece of property, a triangular piece of property that went up, and for all intents and purposes, if you were in East End Park, you would have thought was already part of the park, but was residential property, and so the board was able to acquire that, again, preserve it from being developed, and enhance the park doing that at the same time. And then finally, the board purchased the property at 135 Palmer Drive. It's the former Cronin Elmhurst Medical Building, right at the underpass there. That property is adjacent to Gloss Memorial Park, and so again was a very nice opportunity for the park district to look at preserving open space. As you all know, most of you I'm sure living in town, we have a very built-out community, and there aren't many opportunities to acquire and preserve open space. And so this was looked at as a tremendous opportunity to do that adjacent to Gloss Park. And I'll talk a little bit more in my presentation about future ideas for that site. And then next, some highlights. I mentioned Courts Plus a little bit ago, but some highlights from some really neat initiatives at Courts Plus. We held our first ever Yoga in the Garden program at Wilder Park. That's the photograph there on the left. And Courts Plus subsequently did a few other programs. It's a nice way to sort of take Courts Plus and move it out into the parks. It's a nice experience for the folks in the class, but it's also a nice way to make folks aware of all the offerings that Courts Plus has. We launched an app for Courts Plus. For the first time, real terrific things like group exercise schedules, the ability to not have to bring in a membership card because you can use your cell phone, and we know everybody's carrying smartphones these days. So it really has proven to be a nice amenity for members. And then also we increased dramatically the number of free classes that are included with memberships at Courts Plus, as we see one of the largest proportions of Courts Plus members really take advantage of those group exercise classes. Continuing on then, as I mentioned earlier, we did a community survey last year, which I'll talk about. But the summer prior to that, in 2016, we did a survey of pool pass users. And one of the things we heard from folks was that they would like to see extended pool hours and programming. And so our staff worked in a number of different respects to try to bring that about. We offered a Sunday adult swim, we offered late night swims, and we added family swims, and they were all very, very well received. This is some of those customers. You can see those little ones right there, although they're happy anytime the pool is open. So, but we were pleased to be able to offer that to the community as well. And then just this past fall, actually a couple of meetings ago, or late summer, I should say, the park board approved tobacco ban on district property that will begin on November 16th. November 16th is the American Cancer Society's Great Smokeout, a day they really push and plug as a day to consider stopping smoking. This ban, as I said, will be on all district property. The Park District already followed the Illinois Smoke-Free Act, which prohibits smoking with inside buildings, but now tobacco is banned on all district property with 2 exceptions, one being Sugar Creek Golf Course and the other being paid rental events at the Wilder Mansion. And those decisions were made by the park board based on staff's recommendation, quite frankly, from the business perspective. When folks hold events, when they go golfing, when they rent the clubhouse at the golf course or have wedding receptions at the mansion, they expect that will be a part of what they're able to do. And for us to be competitive in those markets, we decided and the board agreed that we would keep that in play for those types of uses. Next, very excited to mention that we are in the midst of our next playground renovation following Butterfield Park, and that is renovating the playground at Plunkett Park. Plunkett Park is the park that Courts Plus sits in, and this is right out off of West Avenue here. The renovation is literally underway as we speak. This picture is probably days old. That's some of the new equipment that's up, and I believe our soft surfacing right now that looks like a stone base. I can assure you that it will not be a stone base. When the playground is done, it will have that nice soft surfacing that everyone enjoys, and that is being applied, I believe, this week as we speak. And I want to take note to please invite anyone who's here tonight or watching on video to join us on Saturday, November 4th at 10 a.m. when we'll have a grand opening and unveil that to the community, and we're looking forward to that very much as well. Now what I'd like to do is talk a little bit more about our Vision 2020 process. As I mentioned earlier, this was a process that we undertook to garner community feedback and update the district's comprehensive and strategic plans. And there was a presentation done for the park board back a couple of meetings ago that we're going to share with all of you now, and so you'll have a chance to listen to that. So if you just give us one moment here, we will kick it off.
Welcome to the Vision 2020 Comprehensive and Strategic Plan Overview. This process began in October of 2016 and was led by the Lakota Group, an urban planning and design firm in Chicago, Illinois, under the leadership of the Elmhurst Park District's Board of Commissioners and administrative staff. Its purpose is to guide capital improvements, planning and development, and program and service improvements in the near future. This process encompassed 4 phases: engage, analyze, envision, and implement. In this first phase of planning, the planning team facilitated conversations with a wide variety of community stakeholders. These conversations fulfilled 2 critical planning functions: to provide the project team with an understanding of stakeholder needs and priorities, and to communicate a consistent message to the community, thereby helping stakeholders understand their role in this process. During the analysis phase, the planning team developed a comprehensive needs analysis, working closely with Park District staff and board members. During the third phase of the planning process, the planning team, staff, and Board of Commissioners created a shared long-term vision for the Park District based on the Engage and Analyze phase results. Alternative strategies for recreation programming, existing parks and open spaces, new parks and open spaces, indoor recreation facilities, and trail corridors were tested, evaluated, and refined into a set of action items that the district will implement over the next 1 to 10 years. In the final phase of this planning process, the planning team, staff, and Board of Commissioners refined these strategies for the 10-year vision. Recommendations for near and midterm capital and operation strategies were outlined in a 5-year strategy action plan. The Elmhurst Park District is one of 39 park districts within DuPage County in northeastern Illinois. At the start of this process, the planning team looked not only at the park district itself, but how it compares to park districts with similar populations and incomes. Park districts selected for benchmarking were Naperville, Wheaton, Carroll Stream, Lombard, Glen Ellen, Addison, and Woodridge park districts. As you can see, compared to these park districts, the Elmhurst Park District is one of the largest and most affluent. Elmhurst has one of the largest park and open space inventories at 458 acres, yet one of the smallest tax rates. Compared to all DuPage County park districts, Elmhurst Park District's tax rate ranks 25th out of 39. The district itself has a population of 46,337 individuals, and this is expected to increase to over 47,000 by 2021. As the community grows, it will become older, more diverse, and more affluent, and the number of households and families will grow. The size of those households is expected to remain the same, while the youth population is expected to shrink into 2021. The district offers a diverse array of recreational opportunities for the community. Within its 458 acres of open space, it provides 18 playgrounds, 28 baseball and softball fields, 25 tennis courts, 28 multipurpose fields, 75 garden plots, and 5.9 miles of trails. The district provides 9.9 acres of open space per 1,000 population, and 64% of the district has access to a neighborhood park within a half mile of their home. In terms of amenities, the Park District is well served in almost all amenities, with the exception of picnic shelters, a dog park, a disc golf course, and baseball and softball fields. Regarding indoor recreational space, the planning team evaluated 115,000 square feet of the district's 255,000 square feet. Based on the space evaluated, the district provides more than 2 square feet of indoor space per person. 63% of this indoor space is dedicated for Quartz Plus, while 6.5% is dedicated to preschool programming and 4.3% is dedicated to seniors. 135 Palmer Drive is the newest district facility, and during this process, the planning team evaluated what opportunities that site and facility may offer for the future. Facilities improved or constructed after 2005 were not included in the analysis, as these facilities are in good to excellent condition and did not require additional evaluation. As part of this process, the planning team engaged a variety of community stakeholders to develop a comprehensive understanding of the district's current context. This engagement process included a project website, stakeholder interviews, public open houses, online community survey, and a scientific, statistically valid survey facilitated through ETC Institute. In addition to public stakeholders, the district's Board of Commissioners and staff groups also participated heavily in this process. An online organizational culture survey provided insight into the district's staffing, leadership, and culture from staff of all levels and departments. Full-time staff were engaged in both all staff and individual department workshops, and the management team helped to facilitate this process along the way. Part-time staff also had the opportunity to provide feedback in 3 separate input workshops. Finally, board members contributed their input in both individual interview sessions and public workshops during regularly scheduled board meetings. Overall, nearly 3,000 individuals participated in this process, with the majority of participants using the website or participating in online or mail surveys. This process revealed 11 key issues and opportunities for the district to consider going forward, and these issues and opportunities span parks, programs, facilities, and the overall organizational culture. First, the planning process revealed that the Elmhurst Park District is the largest open space and recreation provider in the community. Not only do they provide the most acres of open space, but nearly 88% of Park District residents identified that they visited at least one of the parks in the last year, with Wilder, the Prairie Path, and Barron's Park being the most visited sites. 45% of residents have also participated in the district's programs over the last year, which is greater than the national benchmark of 34%. The park system received a grade of 79, or a C+. While more than half of the parks were rated higher individually, most rated at least a B, 3 parks received D grades, which brought the overall system grade down to the C+. In contrast to the planning team's evaluations, the scientific survey revealed that 97% of residents rate the parks at either excellent or good, which was most likely due to the specific parks residents visit most often, including Wilder and Barron's. Both of these parks also received high marks from the planning team site evaluations. Parks that ranked as high priorities for improvements included York Commons, Crestview, and Conrad Fisher. Regarding individual amenity needs, the community rated a dog park and outdoor nature center as high priorities, and compared to national benchmarks, the district is deficient in these offerings. In addition, the district would also benefit from the implementation of new picnic shelters, pavilions, trails, and playgrounds. New neighborhood parks would improve community access and open space equity. The district has an overall level of service of 9.9 acres per 1,000 population, which is lower than the recommended 11.8 acres per 1,000 population. This recommendation comes from a combination of sources, both planning team benchmarks and national standards. Regarding distribution and equity, 64% of residents have access to a neighborhood park within a half mile of their home, which leaves room for improvement. As the park district looks to the future and the community projects to grow, additional park space in targeted areas of the community would be beneficial. Mini park or tot lot development is recommended in planning areas 5 and 11, while neighborhood park development is recommended in planning area 8. Community parks are well distributed throughout the district, but additional acreage at either Conrad Fisher or Crestview could create another community park asset in planning area 4 or 5 and provide more recreational opportunities for residents located on the northeast side of the district. The district's indoor facilities were rated in fair to good condition, but physical and space utilization improvements could provide better opportunities for residents in terms of indoor recreation programming. According to the community survey and general input, Courts Plus, Wagner, and Wilder Recreation Building are top priorities for improvements in the future. A new or improved senior center was rated as a high priority for the Elmhurst community. This was revealed not only through in-person community engagement, like the open houses and stakeholder interviews, but also in the scientific survey. The existing senior center, the Abbey, was rated at a C+, according to the facility assessments completed by the planning team. 48% of survey respondents rated the Abbey in fair condition, revealing there's plenty of room for improvement. Overall, the community is greatly interested in exploring ways to provide a better or new senior center facility, and open house participants noted an interest in the opportunities that the 135 Palmer Drive facility may offer for the future. The Wagner Community Center is not only one of the most visited facilities in the district, but it was also revealed to be a high priority for improvements as well. The facility received a grade of a C from the planning team's facility assessments, and 30% of the scientific survey respondents rated it in poor to fair condition. This process revealed that the community would not only support facility upgrades, but may also support expanding the facility to provide for more program space. This expansion may include a gymnasium, multi-purpose space, and/or preschool space. Finally, the community desires an indoor sports and recreation facility. While the district currently offers preschool, fitness, gymnastics, and general programming space, it does not offer a public walking track, gymnasium, or indoor class fitness space. These spaces were identified as top priorities in the scientific survey. Figuring out ways to provide these spaces may help the district engage non-users in their programs and facilities. Regarding programs, the community desires new or expanded offerings, specifically within the adult fitness and wellness, community events, and adult continuing education program areas. Some suggestions included concerts, festivals, class fitness, nutrition education, technology, foreign language, and cooking classes. 29% of survey respondents identified that they do not participate in the district offerings because the program or facility is not offered. Like the indoor facility findings, implementation of new programs may help to engage these non-users. However, the district recognizes that for some program areas, indoor space limitations will need to be addressed first. Organizationally, part-time staff communication and engagement is an area of opportunity. The Organizational Culture Survey revealed that part-time staff have a limited awareness of district-wide happenings and feel they have little control over what's going on. In particular, communication about finance, training, and benefits would greatly improve the organizational culture for this staff group. Strengths within the organization include workforce focus and process management, while opportunities for improvements include strategic planning and the overall culture. 90% of employees agreed that the Elmhurst Park District organization is a good place to work, which is above average nationwide and is very positive. Improvements can, however, be made to communication about financial performance and the speed to which the agency and leadership respond to changing needs and progress. As part of this process, the district not only looked at their physical assets and services, but also reviewed the mission, vision, and values of the organization itself. Working together, the board and staff revised their mission and vision and established the first ever organizational values. These values, fun, integrity, customer service excellence, and community focus, will serve as the organization's guiding principles going forward and will play an important role as the district confronts problems, issues, and determines future actions. The final comprehensive and strategic plan's goals were structured into 6 themes: parks, facilities, programs, communications, finance, and internal operations. These themes organize the 11 key findings into 6 major areas of improvement. For each theme, in a collaborative workshop setting with staff and through an iterative process, goals and tactics were developed and refined to integrate the comprehensive and strategic plan's findings and requirements. These are all integrated into a vision or action matrix outlining timelines, staff responsibilities, relevant themes and performance metrics, and overall prioritization based on cumulative staff and community feedback. For parks, the focus is on maintaining and updating existing park sites while also exploring opportunities to expand outdoor recreational offerings and respond to community needs. Facility goals are similar, maintaining and updating existing facilities while optimizing their utilization, and also investing strategically in new facilities. Finally, in order to provide the best programs and services for community, the district aims to stay abreast of changing needs and trends, engage the community on a more regular basis, and remain inclusive with their program offerings. Customer service is a high priority for the future, and by fostering a customer-first environment and addressing staffing needs, the district will be able to provide an exceptional and consistent guest experience for all who come into contact with the district. Financially, the district aims to improve their cost recovery, seek alternative revenue sources, and consider a referendum to fund future improvements as necessary. Internally, the district aims to invest in staff over the next 5 to 10 years, which includes training, professional development, and benefits. The district will also focus on communication and becoming more data-driven, which in turn will help them respond better and potentially more quickly to the community's changing needs. In conclusion, while the district is in a good place now, the future looks even brighter. Community input, board direction, and staff knowledge has provided a clear roadmap for the next 1, 3, 5, and 10 years into the future. The district is optimistic about this future and looks forward to continuing their mission, enriching lives while having fun.
Thank you for your attention while we played that. I think it does a nice job of really laying out the entire process, the tremendous amount of community feedback that we were able to garner, and really the exciting results that came from that. Following that meeting, Board President Spaeth said, or following that presentation, he said to staff and to the board, he said, we need to do something to really keep those key findings right at the forefront of our thinking, meaning the park board as they meet and things. So you'll notice around the room here today that we have posted here all 11 of the key findings, and we literally brought these from the park board's meeting room because we like to have them right at the forefront of all of our thinking as we move forward into the future. We've actually also taken them, we kind of joke, we've taken them on the road for this meeting, and we've taken them to a number of staff meetings as well to make sure that the staff is engaged and fully aware of what's going on as well. So that took you through the entirety of the plan, the process, talked about some of the large key findings, this being our State of the District and annual report for this year. I'm now going to speak a little bit about how the board and staff are looking to implement the first phases of that in this coming year. And we'll hit on those 6 key theme areas that were discussed. So in terms of parks, there are really 3 major areas that we're looking at. We'll be doing a redevelopment of Conrad Fisher Park, which was mentioned in that presentation, on the North District's farthest northeast park in the community. We'll be redoing the playground there, also looking at the tennis courts and either redoing those or potentially even repurposing those, and looking at the walking paths in that park as well. We will be replacing the synthetic turf on the 2 fields that we have right out here, right outside the window here at Barron's Park. That is an exciting project, both to redo the fields and also because it's part of our cooperative arrangement with Elmhurst College, where we worked cooperatively with the college back when those were first developed about 10 years ago. And look forward to that continuing as we look to replace that turf this coming summer. And then finally, as was mentioned in the presentation, we're looking at a dog park. The biggest challenge for a dog park, we certainly know that in this community there's no lack of desire for a dog park. I mean, if you even probably when you parked your car tonight, you saw folks walking their dogs. There's lots and lots and lots of dog owners. The challenge, as we face with really any of these larger initiatives, is where to put it. But we are making good efforts in that front right now to find the right site and the right location, and hope to be pursuing something in this coming year. From a facilities perspective, the presentation also talked about the 135 Palmer Drive property. We have begun looking at that as well, again, based upon some of the feedback from the process. One of the ideas is the potential for it to be potentially a new senior center. The board has also asked staff not to look just on that single focus, but to look at if it might serve more needs than just that. One of the things that the presentation talked about was looking at more for adults from a continuing education perspective. And so in addition to looking at potentially partnership opportunities in that area, we're going to look at what that site could be. The one decision that the park board did make based upon an analysis of that building is that the district will not be reusing the current building. So it will be one of two things that will happen. There will either be a new building developed on the site, or if the determination is made not to have a building on the site, the building would come down and it would become more of a passive use, really linking up with Gloss Park immediately to the north. And then again, I spoke about the indoor sports facility study. The board revisited this again just a couple of meetings ago and gave direction to the board, or to the staff, excuse me, that they want us to move ahead. And we're starting really on three fronts in that direction. One is to look at partner opportunities. So a lot of the organizations and stakeholder groups that we talked to during the process of doing this study, will be going back and visiting with them again. A number of those organizations are in attendance tonight, and we appreciate that. But we'll be looking forward to going back and speaking with some of those partners about, now that we know what the market says, what opportunities might really be there. We're also looking then at funding, because obviously I'll even say, quite frankly, the second most important issue is how would we fund something like this. But then the third item, and really the most important, is where might something like this be located. Again, the challenge that we all face in a community like Elmhurst is it's in large part very built out. So the board, again, has us looking at three things: partner opportunities, funding, and potential sites. And so we've got that underway just within the last couple of weeks. Next, then, from the perspective of programming, which was talked about in the presentation as well, three areas that we're focusing on, one being community events, such as the district's first ever movie on the green, which was held this past Saturday night at Sugar Creek Golf Course. If you didn't get a chance to be there, you missed a terrific event. We showed Caddyshack. I was there with my wife, and I have to say, many of you are smiling and kind of nodding your head. And yes, it's as funny, if horribly, horribly dated today as it was back in 1983, but still good for a few laughs, and really a nice community event geared towards adults that was enjoyed by a lot of folks that evening. Again, as I mentioned, looking at continuing education opportunities. This is going to be another one where we're going to look at, again, wanting to always be respectful of the taxpayer and the resident and use of taxpayer dollars, looking at where there might be partnership opportunities here as well. You're probably aware, if you're living in town, that there's a lot of opportunities that take place for adults, and the question is, do we offer more programming, or do we look at maybe opportunities to partner, get the word out more about some of the opportunities that are available in town? So we will be pursuing that in the coming year. And then adult fitness is another one, and quite frankly, this is one that took us a little bit by surprise when this came out on the survey, given that we operate Courts Plus, and as you all know, there are many, many other fitness facilities in the community. In talking with the folks who did the planning for us, one of the things that they indicated was they think that the responses to this may have been somewhat, they use the term aspirational, which means we all aspire to exercise more and work out more and be more engaged in fitness as adults. And so we're still kind of evaluating whether it really means that there aren't enough opportunities, or if it's just that there's that challenge of getting folks to actually get engaged in them. So we're planning and looking forward to looking into that as well. And then next, in terms of finance, it was mentioned during the presentation, we are looking at the possibility of a referendum sometime in the future. What's exciting is the fact that on this, in this process, the community has indicated a desire to really raise the level of service that the Park District offers. And as you saw in the presentation, and you might see up on the wall here, it's in all areas. It's in facilities, it's in parks, it's in services, and really saying that what we're taking from it and what we're hearing is, as I said, they want to raise that level of service. And quite frankly, the way that would happen is through increased level of funding. And so nothing has been set in stone, but the park board has also given direction to staff to start down the road of looking at what a referendum might look like and what it would entail and when might timing make sense and that kind of thing. So we're just kind of started down the road. I'll also mention that one of the findings, from the community survey was a willingness to pay based upon what survey response told us. We asked the question on the survey about if the types of things that you've indicated you wanted provided were provided, would you be willing to fund those? And without specific dollars being tied to them, which we know is always the what it finally comes down to. But from the conceptual perspective, the community was very positive in their take on that. Lastly, the concept of internal operations, the presentation talked about our part-time staff, and our part-time staff really are the heart and soul of the Park District. I always like to say when I speak to our staff that they are the face of the district, whether that's folks who check people in at the front desk at Courts Plus, or work as preschool teachers, or camp counselors, or drag our ball fields in the summer. Those are the folks that the community sees on a daily basis, interacts with, and really make what happens at the Park District happen on a daily basis. It's not me in my office, and it's not our administrative staff, it's the folks out there. So we're really focused on making sure that we continue to attract and recruit the type of folks we want leading our programs and services, but just as importantly, retain folks as well, because any of you watching tonight or on online with this understand that the two biggest challenges are attracting good folks and then retaining them. And so we want to continue to do that. And so we're going to be looking at the staff benefits that we offer to our part-timers as well. That concludes my presentation of kind of taking you through the accomplishments that the district undertook last year, look at the process that Vision 2020 undertook for the district, and then really how we're looking to implement that in the coming year and year one of that plan. So I, again, thank you very much for being here tonight, and I would be happy to take any questions that anyone in the audience might have. No questions tonight. All right. Well, again, I thank you very, very much for being here. Please feel free. We'll be around afterwards for any questions. We'll have our contact information if you'd like to contact us afterwards. And thank you again for being here and for your support of the Park District. Good evening.